There comes a point, often too late, when a woman looks back and realizes the signs were always there. Not all men want love. Not all kindness means care. And not every man you gave your heart to ever deserved it. Hi, it's Vernon again. Let's stop sugarcoating it, and in today's video, we'll share 7 harsh truths about men that most women only learn after the heartbreak, after the confusion, after wasting years. You'll hear the truths that no one warned you about, the truths many men hope you never figure out. And if you've ever thought, why didn't someone tell me this sooner? Then this video is for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you believe wisdom should be passed on, not discovered too late. Let's begin the journey. Because once you hear the first truth, it just might shift the way you see every man you've ever known, and every choice you'll make from here on out. 1. A man can love you deeply and still not be ready for you. This one cut deep, because I didn't just read about it or hear it from someone else, I lived it. Years ago, I met a woman who brought peace into places I didn't even know were restless. She was strong, grounded, thoughtful, the kind of woman who doesn't just pass through your life, but settles into it and shifts everything. And I fell for her, not in a rushed or dramatic way, but in that quiet, certain way that makes you believe it could last. But I wasn't ready, not even close. Not ready to commit, not ready to grow, not ready to show up for her the way she deserved. I told myself I needed more time, that it was my career, that I had to fix myself first. But the truth, I wanted the comfort of love without the responsibility of it. She walked away, and I didn't stop her. And years later, I realized my love was real, but it wasn't mature. Looking back now, I realize I knew it deep down. I just didn't want to face it. I thought if I loved her enough, the timing would fix itself. But timing doesn't wait on love. A man can care for you with all his heart and still not be man enough to stand by you when it matters. That's something I had to live through to understand. And I know I'm not the only one. We think we can circle back, that good women wait, but they don't, and they shouldn't. So here's what I want you to know. When a man says he's not ready, believe him. Love is not enough. Readiness is the soil that love grows in. Without it, even the deepest affection will wither. Many women waste years waiting for potential to turn into presence. But potential isn't a promise. It's a maybe. And you deserve more than maybe. Don't confuse a man's feelings for his capacity. A man can feel everything and still offer you nothing. And if that hits close to home, good. That means you're waking up. Let's keep going, because the next truth is one that often hides in plain sight. It's about silence, the kind men use not just to protect themselves, but sometimes to keep you at a distance without ever saying a word. 2. Some men use silence, not out of depth, but to control the distance. Plato once said, "Wise men speak because they have something to say, fools because they have to say something." But what about the ones who say nothing at all? Here's something I've seen more times than I'd like to admit. A woman pours her heart into the relationship. She initiates the conversations. She expresses her needs. She tries to get him to open up. And in return, silence, distance, coldness dressed up as mystery. Now, don't get me wrong, not every quiet man is hiding something. But silence can become a weapon. It can create imbalance. It keeps you guessing, keeps you anxious. It makes you do the emotional labor for him. The truth is, effort speaks louder than any carefully crafted silence. A man who truly values the connection will find a way to bridge the emotional gap, even if his words are clumsy, even if vulnerability makes his hands shake. Communication is not just about clarity, it's about courage. And when silence becomes a pattern, not a pause, it's often not about depth at all, but control, distance, detachment. Silence, in that context, doesn't invite intimacy, it withholds it. And any man who withholds connection as a way to stay in power isn't loving, he's managing. If you're constantly filling in the blanks, trying to read between lines he never wrote, that's not love, that's confusion. And confusion, over time, erodes your self-worth. So the next time a man's silence makes you question your value, step back and ask, is he silent because he's deep or because he's distant? If this resonates, hit that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear it. What comes next may challenge how you interpret kindness altogether, because we are about to uncover peels back the surface and asks, is he truly good or just good at looking good?
3. Some men are good at performing kindness, but not living it. There's a reason why "he seems like such a nice guy" is one of the most dangerous assumptions in modern dating. Nice is easy to fake, but kindness, that's lived in the quiet moments when no one's watching. The truth is, some men learn early on that being agreeable opens doors. That if they smile, listen, and say the right things, they'll earn trust, even when their actions never quite align. And because women are taught to value kindness, they miss the gap between polite behavior and true emotional safety. Being nice is not the same as being good. A man can open your car door, buy you flowers, tell you what you want to hear, and still lack the integrity to stand by you when things get hard. Performative kindness makes you feel seen, but not supported. And here's the real trap. The nicer he seems, the more you begin to doubt your own instincts. You hesitate to speak up when something feels off because he's done just enough to appear thoughtful. You internalize his shortcomings as your own expectations being too high. Slowly you trade in your voice for his comfort. That's the danger of performative kindness. It conditions you to tolerate the bare minimum while silencing your need for more. What starts as small self-justifications, "he's just tired, he means well," soon becomes a quiet surrender of your emotional needs. You shrink yourself to keep the peace, not realizing that real peace never demands your silence. But real kindness isn't convenient. It shows up consistently. It holds space. It doesn't need applause. So ask yourself, does his goodness show up when it's uncomfortable? Does it cost him anything? Because the truth is, many men know how to be liked, but far fewer know how to be accountable. If this truth made you pause, good. Let it, because recognizing the pattern is the first step to breaking it. Remember to like the video if it gave you a new perspective. let's take a deeper step forward, because this next truth pulls back the curtain on something few men talk about, a fear so deeply rooted it shapes how they love, how they leave, and how they hide.
4. Many men fear vulnerability more than losing you. It sounds strange, doesn't it? That a man could care for you, desire you, even plan a life with you, and still hold back the parts of himself that matter most. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Vulnerability feels like weakness to many men, and weakness feels like failure. From a young age, boys are taught to be providers, protectors, performers. They're praised for strength, for logic, for composure. But rarely are they taught how to sit with shame, admit fear, or express sadness without feeling like they're somehow less of a man. So what happens when love demands that kind of openness? Often he runs, or worse, he stays but shuts down. I've seen this dynamic so many times, a woman offering emotional intimacy and a man retreating behind distraction, sarcasm, or silence. Not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't know how to meet her there. And that disconnect is painful. It leaves her confused, wondering what she did wrong. But the truth is, it's not her burden to fix. A man must choose to unlearn the armor he's built, to open even when it's uncomfortable. Here's something worth remembering. If his pride is louder than his love, you will always feel unheard. When a man has never been taught how to feel, vulnerability won't feel like love, it'll feel like exposure. And when he's exposed, he hides. So if this truth is stirring something inside you, don't just let it pass. Save this video. Come back to it when you need reminding that his distance isn't always about you. Sometimes it's about a wound he's never had the courage to name. The men who grow are not the ones who never feared vulnerability. They're the ones who faced it anyway. And in the next truth, we'll go even deeper into the uncomfortable reality of how some men confuse love with control, and why it's so hard to spot until you're already entangled.
5. Some men don't want partnership, they want possession. Elaine, a thoughtful, ambitious woman I met through a mutual friend. She had just ended a 2-year relationship that, from the outside, looked nearly perfect. Her partner never raised his voice. He brought her coffee every morning. He said, "I love you," every night. But the illusion cracked when she began considering a job opportunity in another city, something she had dreamed of for years. Suddenly, his warmth faded. He didn't protest directly. He didn't argue. Instead, he grew quiet, distant, vaguely disappointed. Not angry, just enough coldness to make her feel wrong for wanting more. Every time she talked about her dreams, he made her feel like she was being selfish. Every decision she made for herself was met with silence or subtle guilt. And over time, she stopped dreaming altogether. That's what control can look like, not loud or violent, but quiet and convincing. It wears the mask of care. I just want what's best for us. But underneath, it's about shrinking your world until it fits neatly inside his. Real love makes space. Possession closes in. One expands your life, the other slowly makes you disappear in it. Many men don't even realize they're doing it. They confuse love with ownership. They think being close means having a say in everything: what you wear, where you go, who you talk to, how ambitious you're allowed to be. And for the woman inside it, it can feel like love, until one day it doesn't. Until you wake up and realize you're editing yourself in your own relationship. So ask yourself, does this connection help you grow, or does it quietly ask you to be less? Hold on to this truth if you've ever felt like your dreams were slowly being traded for someone else's peace of mind. Because in the next truth, we'll talk about a hard pill to swallow, how some men stay in relationships not out of love, but out of convenience, and how to recognize when you're the comfort zone, not the commitment.
6. Some men stay, not because they love you, but because it's easy. It's one of the most overlooked truths. Staying doesn't always mean caring. Sometimes it just means comfort, familiarity, routine. Some men stay not because they see a future with you, but because you've become a soft place to land. Expectations are clear, the rhythm is easy, and the alternative, being alone or growing up emotionally, feels harder than staying put. The challenge is, on the surface, it looks fine. He replies to messages, shows up, says the right things. But presence isn't partnership. You can lie next to someone and still feel completely alone. True connection requires effort. Emotional, mental, spiritual. A man can circle your life without ever stepping into it. And that's the danger. It looks like love, but it's really avoidance. Growth is the test. When you rise, does he rise too, or pull back? Real partnership adapts. It meets you where you're going. But comfort disguised as commitment fears your growth because it threatens the dynamic that keeps him comfortable. And too often, women mistake time for value. But time spent doesn't always mean time honored. So ask yourself honestly, is he building with you or just enjoying the benefits of what you've built? Let this truth settle, because next we'll face the final paradox, how some men can deeply admire a strong woman and still end up resenting her.
7. Some men admire strong women until they feel small standing beside one. Why is it that the very strength a man admires at first can become the very thing he tries to dim later? It often begins with genuine awe. He's drawn to your independence, your clarity, your sense of purpose. He tells you he's never met someone like you, and he means it. But over time, something shifts. The admiration becomes comparison. Your ambition makes him question his own. Your confidence makes him aware of his insecurities. And instead of rising with you, he begins to shrink, or worse, tries to shrink you. This is one of the most painful paradoxes in modern love, when admiration turns into quiet resistance. At first, your strength is magnetic. It inspires. It draws him in. But over time, if he hasn't built his own foundation, that same strength becomes a mirror he avoids. Love begins to feel like a scoreboard. Growth starts to feel like a threat. And what once felt like partnership slowly shifts into a subtle power play. Not because you changed, but because he never expected to be challenged by what he once praised. Not because you changed, but because your light highlighted where he wasn't willing to grow. So ask yourself, does he celebrate your strength or merely tolerate it? Because the man who is truly aligned with you won't feel small beside you. He'll feel lucky to walk beside someone who shines. And that is the difference between a man who is ready and a man who's just reaching.
Let's take a quiet breath and look back at where we've been. These 7 truths might have stirred something in you, and that's a good thing. They aren't meant to make you doubt love, but to help you see it with clearer eyes. Not colder, just more grounded. Not harder, just wiser. Clearer about what love is and what it isn't. Clearer about what you deserve, not someday, but now. In the words of Epictetus, people are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them. Sometimes the view we take of men, of love, is shaped by hope more than truth. But the more honest we become with ourselves, the more power we take back. You are not here to shrink so someone else can feel secure. You are not here to wait until he's ready to love you the way you already love yourself. You are here to grow, to be met, to be seen fully, not just admired, but respected, not just tolerated, but chosen. So, if this video helped you reclaim even a piece of that clarity, do me one small favor. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep having the conversations no one else is willing to have. And when the doubts creep in, when you wonder if your standards are too high or your strength too loud, come back to this. The right man won't be intimidated by your fullness. He'll rise to meet it. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching my video.